Penny and I were talking about you not many days ago. His retirement, I knew it was close. But he got moved up, right? A little bit. Did your retirement get moved up from where you thought it was gonna be at one time?
When I went to the Social Security office, I found out if you work one day in your 10th month, they give you the whole month.
Oh,
So I was like, well, I'm gonna retire, the first working day in March.
right.
But I messed up. I thought it was Monday was the 3rd, but it's not. It was Tuesday.
Yeah, okay.
So I messed up.
They gonna let you retire anyway.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Congratulations. You gonna get up and drive down there now and then just for the heck of it?
Well, my boss called today at 10 o'clock, wanting help with something. He said he was gonna hire another guy, and he wanted to know if I'd be interested in driving down there 2 days a week to train him.
And you
We
said,
can discuss money, but that may calm him down when I tell him what I want.
Because you reminded me that gas went to $3 a gallon.
They're not giving me benefits or anything, so.
So how does Judy feel working every day and not?
It's kind of tough to get it really work.
Yeah.
I told him somebody had to make the living.
Yeah. Good. Well, I appreciate your time filling in for me last couple Wednesday nights. You may want to do some of that in the future. What you covered, first 2 chapters. What'd you do to Revelation?
I like the first 3 chapters.
First
which
3
look at
chapters.
the letters to the 7 churches.
Okay. So you got through all 3, right? That's good.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a big brief
Right.
overview of it.
Right.
We looked at what he had to say to each of the 7 churches, because that applies to all of us.
Right. Good. Well, we don't have anything set for what we're gonna do going forward, but that can be done, certainly. And we will not be having class next Wednesday night, as Carson announced, because we'll be going to Bethel. So 2 weeks from now, hopefully we'll begin the study. So tonight we're gonna be in Luke 16. And there's a very interesting parable in the first 12 verses or so of Luke 16, and I thought it'd be a good study. In fact, I don't remember. I'm sure I've had this in a class before. Obviously I'm familiar with the parable, but I don't remember many discussions about this parable through the years. It's kind of got a little bit of challenging part to it as well for us, how we make application of it. And there's a statement or two that's made in it that I think can be confusing. I don't think it is. I don't think it's intended to be. But if we don't understand it right, I think we can misunderstand the whole parable or wonder what's he talking about anyway. In my Bible, it's entitled The Parable of the Dishonest Manager. I'm not even sure that's the right title. Does anybody do you have a Bible with titles in it? Anybody else?
A lot of them call it shrewd.
The Shrewd?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that word better. It's actually in the text, in my ESV as well. And by the way, shrewdness is not a synonym of dishonesty. Okay? It's not.
No.
No, in fact, it can be very complimentary. It not always is used that way, but it can be. Somebody else says that. Yours said shrewd as well? Yours does? Okay. I don't even know I guess the editors or whatever of the ESV version chose to put that as the title. Obviously, it's in italics. It's not in the text. They're just giving those verses a title based upon some things that are said. But we can talk about whether or not you think he's dishonest or not. He's got issues, there's no doubt about that, and dishonesty may have been part of it. But I want us to go through and read this, and we'll talk about it kind of as we go. We're going to be able to read quite a bit in the first part, but then we're going to slow down as we get toward the end and see what the application is to us. Okay, let's just begin reading. Jesus is He. It starts out, Jesus is talking to His disciples. He also said to the disciples, there was a rich man, and charges were brought to him that this man was wasting his possessions. Okay? So, not being I figure there are lots of people in the world today that maybe have positions or somebody that kind of helps to manage at least part of their affairs and things that are going on. And this a manager that's over a lot of his stuff, and somebody comes, there's charges that are made, and he is told, the rich man is told, your manager is wasting your possessions. What does that mean to you? The information that they have, they are able to advise me things that I might need to do, or they're able to tell me things that I have to do by law. Somebody sometimes has to manage for us. This man has a manager. So he, that's the rich man, called him, that's the manager, and said to him, what is this that I hear about you? Turn in the account of your management, for you can no longer be manager. What did the rich man just pretty much do? He pretty much fired him. He said, and he says, turn in. So what's he got to do? All this stuff that you're managing, and we're going to see what some of it is. Some of it is bills that other people owe this rich man. He says, you bring all that in because you can't be the manager anymore. I'm going to get somebody else to be the manager. That's what he tells him. And so, verse 3, the manager said to himself, what shall I do, since my master is taking the management away from me? I'm not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. Okay. So what's happening to the manager here? He's losing his job, and what else? Along with that, what's he losing? A livelihood. An ability to make a living. Because he says, I can't dig. I'm not strong enough. I don't want to be a beggar. I'm ashamed to do that. So he's contemplating, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you lose your job? So, verse 4, I have decided what to do, so that when I am removed from management, people may receive me into their houses. Now, that's probably not the kind of thing we would think about now. But I doubt if that was all that unusual at that time. Maybe somebody else taking someone in. There were lots of poor people, and we know even it hadn't even been a century ago that we know in the past, in the area that we live in, didn't sometimes grandma and grandpa live with the next generation as well? We know that, and vice versa. In our land, we even know of people because times were hard and it was tougher. And Penny and I, on one thing we do when we go on our RV trips is we watch Gilligan's Island and the Waltons, especially in the mornings. Penny puts one of them in the TV and we watch them. Well, there's Grandma and Grandpa, and they live with Mom and Dad, and all the kids are all together. Well, this isn't necessarily a family, but this is a man that's saying, I know what I can do. I'm going to do something so that when I lose my job, there are going to be some people who will try to take care of me. And I got to give them a reason for that, right? I got to give them a reason to want to take care of me.
Well, there was no such thing as Social Security back.
That's right.
As you're talking.
Yes, you're right, Kenny. And
people had a hard time.
yeah, and if they lived through the Great Depression, they may not have been able to save any money anyway. If you don't make any money, you can't save any money, right? Okay. So, summoning his master's debtors one by one, and remember, he's the manager. He's been overseeing all this stuff. He's the one that made the deals with these people. He said to the first, how much do you owe my master? And the man answered, he said, verse 6, 100 measures of oil. And he, that is the manager, said to him, take your bill and sit down quickly and write 50. Not 100 measures, but 50. Then he said to another, and how much do you owe? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said to him, take your bill and write 80. What did the manager just do?
Robbing from his boss.
That's one way to look at it. And I don't know if I agree with you completely, Dodie, because I'm not sure as the manager that he didn't have the authority to do that. But he wasn't a very good manager when he did it. That's right. That may have been part of the reason that he was wasting possessions. Although it seems to me he's come up with this idea since he's lost his job. I doubt if this is what he's been doing. But here's the next statement. Okay? Let's read the next verse in our story. The master commended the dishonest manager for his shrewdness. What would you have thought the manager's first reaction would have been? You dirty, crooked dog! Yeah, exactly. He's robbing from me.
But you know, Stan, I've had times in life where somebody hoodooed me and I sit back and I thought, man, you sure pulled that off. I've got to take my hat off. You know, that was
Right.
slick.
Right?
You know, even though they did it, that sure was slick. You know, I wouldn't have thought about that in a million years.
Right.
He's a sharp tack. You've got to get up early in the morning to get one around him.
Okay.
I don't think I'd pull my head off the man that stole from me.
Right.
Now, this man here, it said here that 1,000 bushel of wheat is what he owed.
Okay.
And he told him that said that you make it 800. Now, was he taking that other 200 bushel himself?
No. What it was, this guy owed his master 1,000 bushels. And what he just did is you ain't got to give him back 1,000. You can write it down and make it 800. I'm giving you, the manager said, you take your bill, and in other words, it's just like you've paid 200 of it back already. You don't owe him but 800 now.
In other words, he was not taking the 200.
He wasn't taking the money from the 200. He was just reducing the bill of the person he was dealing with.
I think that's all right.
Yeah, well,
Be nice if he'd asked the manager.
right. Here,
The man that owned the house.
that is the issue. Doty said he's a crook, and a lot of times, I guess it would depend on what authority or what leeway I gave my manager. You know, Andrew, if I said, Andrew, here I got extra $5,000, would you invest this for me? And you know, if you put it in a bad investment and time got through and you just brought me $3,500 back, I couldn't say that you stole from me. I'd just say you were a pretty bad manager. You know what I'm saying? Now here if as a manager he had that authority, I don't think he stole. But here's what the manager had to say. Here's what the rich man had to say. What did he say about the manager? He commended him for his shrewdness. I had to look that word up. How many of you think shrewd's an ugly word? Shrewdness is the quality of having keen awareness, sharp intelligence, and sound practical judgment, often leading to advantageous outcomes. It does imply a sometimes cunning ability to navigate complex situations, discern, and act strategically. So, as I read through while generally positive, implying wisdom, it can sometimes suggest, according to one dictionary, a cunning or a sly nature. In other words, it's like you pulled something that was a little underhanded. Can't say it was necessarily illegal, but you kind of slipped one by me there when you did that. You know? But shrewdness is not all bad. In fact, it can, what did I read? A keen awareness, a sharp intelligence, sound practical judgment. Why would the rich man call this man shrewd in this situation? Had he made a wise move? Yes, he had. I mean, he can't dig and he doesn't want to beg and he's not going to have a job anymore. And he just made him just 2 examples were given. Not all the other people that owed the master. Why? The sons of the world are what? Are wiser than the sons of light. Meaning what?
Two-step, if this man was gonna benefit from cutting
The bills?
the bills,
Yes.
he could have been dishonest,
He- He could have been.
if he was gonna benefit from it.
Right.
And more than likely, he thought he was, or I don't believe he.
Oh, he's doing it because he's trying to save himself. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how dishonest it makes him, but it makes him a very bad manager. For sure. And of course, he's losing his job because of it.
You know, I see that situation all the time. I think people, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna outsmart them folks. Well, them folks over there, this is all they do 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. This is their business, they're what they're into.
Right.
And why do you think that you can just walk out of nowhere and, because they've seen it, they've seen everything, they've worked in this,
Right.
they've done this. And, it'd be like so many people walking up to you, a farmer from New York City, and telling you, how to farm.
Right.
And you just see that, or lawyers. Well, I'll go down there and I'll get one over on that lawyer. Well, no, he works every day in the legal system.
Yes.
He reads wills and he writes wills for a living.
Yeah.
And so he's shrewd and he's wise in that.
Yep.
He's wise in that world. And it is with a lot of us. And we're trying to follow Jesus.
Right.
And we're thinking about kingdom stuff. And you get out in the world, and those people, they spend all their time and energy thinking about worldly things. They're not thinking about kingdom things.
Right.
You're not.
That's right. But here, we're going to read on, and I hope this starts to come together. I'm not be doing a very good job, but I hope this starts coming together. This is still just laying the background for what Jesus is about to say. Okay? So, we've got a manager that's not very good. The rich man who's found out about it, he's told him he's going to lose his job. He's getting ready for the time when he has no job, and so he lets people reduce their bill that they owe to his previous master. And why is he doing this? So he'll have somebody that'll take care of him, a place to go when he loses his job. And that is why the rich man has called him shrewd. Because he is preparing, using the position that he was about to lose, but still had the opportunity that he had to save himself for the future. Now, obviously it had some very questionable actions that he took, but he is shrewd still. Okay, now then, let's read on. And I tell you, this is Jesus. He's just said, the sons of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than the sons of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of unrighteous wealth, so that when it fails, they may receive you into the eternal dwellings. All right. We gotta try to figure out what Jesus just said. The manager was shrewd because he used earthly wealth to buy him security for his future when he was going to be without a job.
Earthly security.
Earthly security.
Earthly.
Yes. He pulled one in a way. He pulled one, but in doing that, even the rich man said that was shrewd Boy, that was a smart move for him to make. Why? Because tomorrow, when he brought all this stuff he's got to bring back to me and he hands it over, he can't do that anymore. Because I'm going to hire a new manager to take his place, and there he'd have been with nothing, no job and nowhere to go. But he has done something that's going to give him a place to go. And then Jesus says, you know, worldly people are smarter than the sons of light when it comes to that. And so I'm telling you that maybe you ought to use some of your worldly stuff to do what? To prepare for what? The eternal. Did you see that word? The eternal dwellings. All right, what's the practical application of that? Think about that. How could we be shrewd with our mammon? That's the word that's in here. Mammon, you've heard that can't serve God and mammon. Mammon is things of physical value. It's money, but it's possessions as well. Things that have a dollar value that make up our wealth. Jesus is saying, I'm telling you to use that worldly stuff that you have to do something with it that'll help you have eternal dwellings. What's the message to us? How can we be shrewd as Christian people who've been blessed by the Lord with physical possessions? Use some of that stuff you have and do good things with it. Help people. Bless people. Feed poor people. Take care of some folks that can't take care of themselves with it. You see somebody that really has a need and you can do something about it, make a difference. Because what does Jesus say if you give a cup of cold water to somebody, or if you feed a hungry person, or you go to the jail and you visit somebody that's in jail, or you do all those things in Matthew 25 when he gives the judgment scene? What does Jesus say about that? When you've done that to them, what does he say? You've done it to me. And that's at the judgment scene. And so I believe very strongly that the message that Jesus is teaching with this parable is that, hey, in the world, sometimes people get themselves in a mess and they make some really shrewd decisions. And they're even maybe questionable about the honesty of it, but they are doing something that at least is going to take care of themselves for the future. He said, but they're wiser than the sons of light, because the sons of light don't always do things like that. We might hoard it. We might hold on to it. We might try to gather up all we can. And Jesus just says, you better be using some of that to prepare yourself for the eternal places. And that doesn't mean you're going to need money in heaven to get by. It means maybe you need to be using some of those physical blessings that you in this world to make sure that you get. That's who the Lord asks us to be, people that try to help other people, especially if they can't help themselves. Am I about that? Is that what this parable's saying? Is that what this story's about? I think it is. Listen. Verse 10. One who is faithful in a very little is all in much. And one who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much.
that you cannot serve God and money? He talks about it in the Sermon on the Mount.
Yes, he
Well,
does.
guess how he starts that paragraph?
Right.
Don't store up treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. That's what we're talking about.
That is exact. That's just, this is an example where it's explained another way. Of that statement you just read. Yep. I agree with you, Todd. I believe that's exactly what this is saying. If you have not been faithful in that which is another's, who will give you that which is your own? This guy there had not been faithful with what was another's. He says, "How if you do that, how can you expect me to entrust you with the true valuable things?" No servant can serve two masters. So what's he saying now, Todd? It's what the point Todd's been making. He's saying, because here it is. Either our mammon, all the things of this world and our possessions, either that's our master or the Lord is. It can't be both. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. No servant can serve two masters. Either he'll hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. That's right almost exactly from the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus just made that specific point with a parable. That's kind of challenging to us. It is. I hadn't heard, I don't even know when if I ever heard that sermon from that chapter. I don't know if I've ever heard that sermon before. Now, I've heard sermons about our money and about our possessions and using them, but I don't know if I've ever heard this one or not. Maybe I probably have, because I've heard a lot of things I don't remember. I'm sure.
Well, you talk to old people. You talk to old people, and they tell you they don't know how much money they're going to need,
Right.
And a lot of that is true.
Yeah, that's true.
And, some of them wouldn't give any money away
Right.
because they don't know how much money they're going to need.
Right.
Stan, this reminds me of another passage. So we're told to be as shrewd
Yeah.
as a serpent
Yeah.
and as gentle as a dove.
Yeah.
And we can run into somebody that's a professional at getting money or getting stuff from people. And they'll come around and they'll shake you down.
Right.
And the next thing you know what? They were pretty slick.
Yeah.
Pretty sharp.
They took
They
you.
got me hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, they took you.
Because they're wise at that. That's what
Right.
they do for a living.
Right.
That's how they get by. You
Right.
know? And we're challenged not to be naive.
Right.
When people of the light, when you're dealing in the world, and that is the interact, be as
Right.
shrewd as serpents.
Right.
and
But
as-
right. So that verse and this parable also are about what? About us being shrewd too.
yes.
But not in taking advantage of somebody else and gaining ourselves, but in using the things that we have been blessed with to go and bless somebody else. And what's shrewd about that? What makes that an intelligent, good, wonderful thing to do? Because the Lord says, that's what I want you to do with it.
You are storing up treasure.
Yes, use what I gave you to bless somebody else. And I'll bless you for it. I'll bless you because of it. If we can do it with the right intention, the right motives, there's a lot involved there. It's like, it's not wrong to be rich. It's not wrong to be wealthy. But it is wrong to keep everything we've got and never do any good with it for anybody but ourselves. That's wrong. The Lord said you need to be more shrewd than that. with what I've blessed you with and use it to prepare for your future. Think about your future. And it's not, don't think I'm talking about buying your way into heaven. That ain't it. It's not about that at all. It's about being generous. It's about being concerned about the welfare and the needs of others. It's about taking care of people that can't take care of themselves or are having a hard time and need some help.
You know, and Stan, I think sometimes we worry about, well, boy, that guy